Welcome to A-State Eats. I'm Jacob and this is Chef Heather. And what are you going to prepare for us today?
Today I'm going to prepare a pan-seared flat iron steak. And we're going to top it with a lump crab meat sauce and a béarnaise.
And what is a béarnaise?
Béarnaise is a hollandaise sauce. So it's a butter and egg yolk sauce that has wine and tarragon reduced and added to it.
Okay.
So it's really rich and it's wonderful with steak.
Awesome.
Okay, first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that when you are searing a steak that your oil is hot. You don't want it to sit there and soak up a bunch of oil. You want it to start sizzling immediately. And another important thing is do not overcrowd your pan because your food is not going to cook properly when you have too much in it. So I'm going to do 2 at a time. I'm going to sear it for a couple of minutes on each side. Get it a good medium rare.
So you don't have an exact time for how long you cook it?
No, it just depends on what the cut is and the thickness. You just kind of have to eyeball it.
I saw you preparing your ingredients beforehand, and I didn't see you measure anything. Is that like a time saver, or do you just know how to do it now? Or
it is a time saver, and coming from I primarily did pastry before I started doing saute cooking, and it was a difficult transition for me to go from doing exact measurings to just adding, to taste. So that's something that over the last year I have really worked on is, cooking is not an exact science, it's more of an art, whereas baking is very precise. So it's fun getting into a new journey.
So why are you using a cast iron pan? Is that for heat retention or?
Yes, it holds heat in better than any other pan that you use, and it cooks more evenly. And that's another reason why I'm using gas heat, because it is a more reliable heat source than electric. You're not going to have hot spots or things like that. And it does a much better job of actually getting a good sear on your meat. It locks in that flavor that you want. You want to get a good crust on there.
After you'd heated up the oil, you sprinkled something into the pan. What was the point of that?
And I took a little bit of my leftover salt and pepper because it gives you a good indication of how hot your oil is.
How can you tell?
Just the way that the oil moves in the pan. Whenever you see it kind of break the surface tension, you know that the oil is hot enough. You don't want it to get to the smoking point because that will overcook your meat. So it's important to make sure that you have it hot enough but not too hot.
Okay. So that's like an acquired technique, because if I watched you sprinkle salt into oil, I would have no idea what was going on.
That, or you could splash just a tiny bit of water, but that can pop up more than the salt does.
So you said you started in pastry. Do you have a restaurant that you work at?
I work at the Jonesboro Country Club. I am their pastry chef, and I also am their evening sauté cook.
So that's a big transition from pastry to sauté.
It is. It's been an interesting journey. When I first started there, I just did pastry a couple of days a week, and they offered me a full-time position over the summer, and I jumped on it because it's been a very wonderful learning experience out there.
So why pastry?
I have just always had a love for it. I've always said it's kind of my therapy because it's very precise and you have to have exact measurements, otherwise things aren't going to turn out. But you just take all of these simple ingredients, put them together, and create something delicious. And I've just always enjoyed it. I've had a knack for it, so why not make it my livelihood?
Awesome.
And I've kind of become famous around town for my cinnamon rolls. And at the country club for sure. I make them almost every Sunday for brunch, and we run out every Sunday. Even
awesome.
When I try to make more, we somehow end up running out.
Right.
Trying to do that gracefully, and graceful is not one of my strong suits. Just making a mess everywhere.
Yeah. So what is your end goal with being a pastry chef and working at the country club and coming to school here? What is your like ideal career in cooking?
I kind of gone back and forth because the thought of opening my own restaurant, while it would be amazing, there is a lot of work that's involved, especially with the business aspect.
Right.
And so for now, I want to focus on cooking and honing my craft. And with the country club, that gives me a great opportunity because I have free reign over what I make there. And maybe 5 years down the road, there will be a Chef Heather Honnell restaurant in town.
Right. From what part of the cow does the flat iron come from?
The flat iron is from the shoulder of the cow, and it is part of the sirloin.
Okay. So is it important to let the meat rest after you take it out of the pan?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to let those juices stay put. If you try to cut into it too quickly, it's all going to run out on the plate, and you're going to have a mess and tough meat. So it is imperative that you let it rest.
Is there a time for that, or is that another feel thing?
It's, more of a feel thing. Once you get to that point. Touching it. You still want to have some give whenever you touch the meat. All right. Now I'm going to go on to our crab meat. I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in here. Well, I say a little bit. It's all relative, I suppose. Yeah. Let it melt just a little bit.
So we've switched pans now. Is there any reason for that other than the fact that we just cooked the steak in it, or?
Yeah, just want fresh pan for the crab meat, and with the steak I seared it in an olive oil blend, and this crab meat is getting love from the butter, so. It's totally different flavors. Go ahead and crab meat in. You don't have to worry too much about it being super hot, so we're not, I mean, the crab meat's already cooked. We're really just kind of heating it up and giving it some good flavor. Now I'm going to add some mixture of salt and pepper with some granulated garlic and a little bit of onion powder.
So with the crab going on the steak, this would be considered surf and turf, right?
It would. Yeah, anytime you pair a piece of cow with something from the sea, get you some surf and turf. It's also good, you know, crab cakes or, but I wanted to go a different route today with just some good flavored crab meat on top.
So is there any reason why we're cooking with blue crab today? Is there any like special flavor with it?
It's sweeter. It's from the East Coast. They typically are from the Carolinas up through Maine. And that sweetness paired with the savory is just a great combination to have.
So what are we looking for to, like, how did you know the crab meat was done?
Well, with the crab meat, we started off with it already cooked, so really I just wanted to make sure that it was heated through. So you got a nice good steam going, the butter's all melted and combined with the crab meat. So it's got a good consistency. That's it. Sear on it. Lay the steak over the veg.
So is that for flavor or is that more for
Aesthetic
like, dressing
purposes.
the plate? Okay.
I like stacked plating. And with the sauce, I'm just gonna put it on the side and give it a little fancy flair.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay. Got a little bit of everything in it.
He's speechless.
That's awesome. I don't even know what to say. That's so good. All of it comes together. I've never had crab on a steak. Crab meat's awesome. That's all I got, dude. That's so good. So thank you so much for having us come out here. The food was awesome. I learned multiple techniques. So
Well, thank you.
yeah.
Welcome to A-State Eats. My name is Jacob. This is Chef Cheyenne. We're going to start off just by you telling us a little bit about what y'all are doing today and the project y'all have going on.
Basically, we're working on a marketing project for
Okay.
our menu planning class. Pretty much you were given either an appetizer, an entree, or dessert, and you chose your recipe and created a menu card
Okay.
marketing that recipe to sell.
Gotcha. So tell me, what is a menu card for like people that don't know?
Basically, it's kind of like a small menu that features like one or two things.
Gotcha. So like with that menu card, you said it's like one or two things. So what did you make today?
I did a chocolate orange baked Alaska.
That sounds fantastic. And so like, is that something that y'all do a lot, like where you're given that kind of project, or is that like every once in a while kind of thing? How does that work around here?
It kind of depends. We do more of those kind of projects with Miss Lena's class.
Okay.
We just did a similar one that was a group project, but.
So what is kind of the flow of like being in like culinary school? Like what's kind of like the daily?
It honestly depends on whether you're going the culinary route or the management route.
Gotcha.
I'm not too sure of the management route, but for the culinary, when everybody first comes in, we have a lot of classes with Miss Lena, just as far as sanitation, getting your cert safe, getting certified with your like hospitality and things like that. And then you switch over and you either branch off to the management or culinary, and that'll depend on how your classes flow together.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about what Baked Alaska is.
It's kind of simple, really. It's just like a cake base. It can be whatever flavor you want. And then on top of that's going to be your ice cream. And the cool thing about that is when you coat it in the meringue, the ice cream's going to stay completely solid. It's not going to melt or anything. And the outside's going to be warm, so it's kind of like a contrasting type dessert.
Why Baked Alaska?
Honestly, we were kind of pressed for time, so I figured I would do something that I do often because I make them a lot at work.
Gotcha.
So I figure I could make those pretty quickly and be done on time.
All right, so you said like Baked Alaska is like a cake and then like meringue. Like what's meringue and like how does that process work?
Meringue is basically just whipped egg whites.
Okay.
You just put, it just depends on how much you're wanting to make. You can put like 4 cups of egg whites in the mixer and you mix it until it gets kind of like foamy.
Gotcha.
And then you add in your dry ingredients, which will be your sugar and your cream of tartar. That's very important, making sure that it bakes out smooth and right, put in the tartar in. And then you just whip it until it's really stiff peaks, until it doesn't move when you like shake it.
Gotcha. So like you're in culinary school, but what kind of like pushed you to culinary school or made you come here?
Well, when I was younger, I lived with my mother and my grandma, and we ran Emily's Motel up in Fort Smith. And across the street, we also ran the Mama's Country Cafe, so I kind of grew up in that.
Gotcha.
Just recreating all that.
Very cool. So you said you like worked in a restaurant before, like your family owned one?
Well, I was really young back then, but I mean, I was taking orders at like 5.
Gotcha.
So it was,
very cool.
It was fun.
In a restaurant setting as a chef, do you focus on like one thing? Like do you only make like one like certain thing whenever you're there, or do you kind of work all around?
For me, since I just started, I'm doing the pantry and the salad station, so I pretty much prep all the stuff for the salads, and sometimes I'll help prep up all the desserts for the week. And I help my station mate on fries sometimes.
Thanks for tuning in to A-State Eats. I'm your host, Hope Mackley, and we are here with Chef Ashton. What are we making today, Chef Ashton?
So today we're making a flank steak taco, and we're going to put it on a bed of tri-colored couscous.
Okay, that sounds awesome. How should we start out?
Okay, so we're going to start with mixing all of our ingredients together, and I've already got them pre-portioned out. Okay, so we have a little bit of unsweetened cocoa, ancho chili powder, cracked black pepper, a little bit of salt, paprika, granulated garlic, ground cumin, and ground cinnamon.
Did you say unsweetened cocoa?
Yes.
Okay, that's something I haven't heard about before. What does that really add to it?
And it kind of tones down all of the other ingredients. It kind of like so that the pepper is not so spicy and the chili is not so spicy and the cinnamon, it kind of just blends it all together and brings it down a little bit. So just gonna mix that up. So if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna get our steak over here.
Okay, do we need to do anything special with the steak?
We are going to put our seasoning on it, and then we're going to sear it in this pan for probably 2 to 3 minutes on each side. We're just going to let our oil heat up here for a minute. Don't want it on too high. Let's see. Get this knife.
So why did we choose the flank steak?
It's kind of a thinner steak, and it's kind of a more tender steak. So it'll whenever we cut it real thin sliced, we can put it on the steak, and it'll go on real nice on the taco, and it won't be as tough. Okay, so we're going to season it on both sides here. Rub all those seasonings in so it'll be good and seasoned. We want to make sure we use all of that seasoning so none of it goes to waste.
You can really tell how it's like soaking in.
Yes. Yes, it makes a great flavor profile. Okay. And check our heat over here. And go ahead and just lay that steak in there and sear that on both sides. It's got a nice sizzle to it.
Okay. Now, what are we looking for to see when it's done?
And we want it to be kind of a medium to a medium rare, just kind of a nice warm pink center. So it's got a nice good crust on that side there.
That looks nice.
And we're just going to continue to let that cook for a minute, and then we're going to make a lime sauce to go on top of the taco.
Okay.
So we're going to start with a half a cup of sour cream. Okay, so we're going to take this to the blender over here. We're going to do 1/4 of a cup of cilantro. And then we're going to squeeze a lime in there. Okay, and then we're going to just blend this together. Okay. That lid off there. And just kind of makes a cream sauce in there.
Okay.
So this is what we're going to drizzle on top of the taco. Okay, so I'm just going to set this aside for a minute.
Okay.
My steak should be about ready. I'm going to give it a quick check. Okay, so that's going to be about a medium rare to medium, so I'm going to put it back on for just a minute. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get our plates started, and I've got couscous already over here, and then it's just kind of like a mixture of a rice and a pasta together, and so I've just let it soak in a couple of cups of water and just kind of let it get a nice soft texture to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plate some of this up. And I didn't really put any seasonings or anything in this because I kind of want it to just be kind of a plain flavor so that it doesn't really take away from the tacos. And we're just going to put our tacos on top of this. Our steak should be ready, so we're just going to let that rest for a moment. Okay, so on our taco, we're going to put a little bit of pico that I've already made up, and it has tomatoes, onion, jalapeno, a little bit of lime juice, and then salt, pepper, and garlic. And then this is just arugula that we're going to put on the bottom of our steak. This is just going to give it kind of a nice little crunch to it.
is there any specific way we're like portioning this out?
No, I'm just kind of putting a small pinch on there. You don't want to overdo it, but you just kind of want to put just a little pinch on there just so they can get a small taste of it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slice my steak up next. We're going to give it a really nice thin slice.
Okay, when you say thin, how thin are we wanting to go?
I'm going to say maybe a centimeter or two, not very thick at all.
Is there a reason we want to go so thin on them?
Just so that it's not, just so that you can eat it a little bit better, and it kind of, you can spread it out a little bit better, and it doesn't make the, you know, you can hold the taco together better. It's not as thick on there. All right.
So what got you into cooking?
Well, when I first started out, I didn't really cook a whole lot. I've kind of always been independent though. My mom's always kind of taught me, you know, if you want to do something, you do it yourself. Don't depend on others. So I would kind of cook every once in a while around the house for myself. But then when I was about 16, I never thought that I would, you know, become a chef or anything. But when I was about 16, I got my first job working at a restaurant, and the atmosphere there was just, I mean, it was just great. I mean, it was uplifting. They were always excited and happy to be there, and it was just, I mean, it was a great atmosphere. And so I was like, wow, you know, like I really want that kind of passion for myself. So that's kind of how I got into it.
And you're graduating soon, right?
Yes, I will graduate in May.
All right, so do you know where you're looking to go with this after that?
Well, I just recently purchased my own business called The Teapot, and so it's a store, but it's also a restaurant at the same time. We sell like sandwiches and salads and wraps, but then we also on the store side have like candies and jams and different specialty items like that. So that's what I'm going to do when I'm finished with this. Okay, so I'm just going to put a couple of slices of meat on there. So on top of the meat, we're going to put our pico that I talked about earlier. So we're just going to put a little bit of pico there on top of those. And if I had to give you a portion measurement, I'd probably say about a teaspoonful.
Okay. Well, it looks so amazing together.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to cut up a fresh avocado to go with it.
So what is the avocado bringing to our plate here?
The avocado is going to bring a little bit of color and just make the plate presentation come together really nice. Let me move these out of the way.
Okay, so how do we go about getting everything out of the avocado?
Okay, so an avocado has a pit in it, so you can't cut directly all the way through. So you just kind of cut around it, and then you're going to twist it, and you'll see it has that pit inside of it.
Okay, so why are we not like stabbing the pit to get it out like I've seen done before?
Well, everybody does it differently. I just like to dig it out with my hand. It just comes out a lot easier and a lot cleaner. And so then you just kind of slice it. If you want to, you can dice it, slice it, you know, however you want to do it. But today I'm just going to make some slices out of it, and then you're just going to peel off the skin.
See, when I peel them, they always come off so messy. You're making it look really easy.
Fresh avocado is one of my favorites. Okay, so we're going to take this avocado and we're going to take it over here to our plate.
Okay.
For the time being, I'm just going to set it here on the plate. So we're going to take these skewers to kind of hold our tacos together. I'm just going to poke it right through the middle. Kind of makes a nice little taco holder.
Kind of like a little taco kebab.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to put our avocado on the side here. I'm just going to clean this plate up a little bit, make it look really nice. Okay, so then we're going to take our cream that we made over here and just kind of put it on the top of those tacos. Okay, so we're just going to drizzle some of that on top of there. Or dollop, I guess you would say is a better word for it. Take a fresh lime.
So why do we rub it?
We roll it this way and kind of mash it together so that whenever you like squeeze it on top of there, it squeezes a lot easier. And it kind of breaks it down where it's not so hard in the middle. And there's different ways you can do it in your hands, and you can put it on the table and kind of roll it around a little bit. So we're going to cut that in half. And we're just going to drizzle that on top. And there you have a flank steak taco.
All right. Well, thank you, Chef Ashton. We've had a great time. Thanks for tuning in to A State Eats. We will see you next time.